So let's talk about the harmony and the sound design for this opening part of You Right from Doja Cat and The Weeknd. So I want to start with the bass line. It's a fairly simple bass line, C going to A flat, going to G. We can actually now change this to an A flat. If you don't like sharps, you can switch it to flats. And that's pretty much the whole progression. There's a very nice pitch bend that happens on the first note as it leads into the next note. And you can see I have that drawn in here. On the synth itself, the pitch bend range has been set to +7 semitones. So when the note goes all the way down, it's down 7 semitones. In terms of the actual sound, it's a very basic sine wave. And there's just a little bit of FM synthesis applied to it. Also, on the filter here, I'm not really filtering the sound. The filter is pretty much completely open, but I've switched to this OSR filter, which gives me the option to add some drive. And I've set that to about 4 decibels. If I was to turn off this filter and disable the frequency modulation, we get a very pure sine wave, which can be a bit hard to hear, so that's why a little bit of this does help. Alright, now let's talk about the chord progression. So it looks like it's some kind of a C going to an A flat going to G. And if you look at the actual chords, so you can see here, this looks like a G minor triad. In fact, let's solo this here. So there's your G minor triad. But there's a C in the low register. So I guess you can kind of think of it like a C minor 7, or more specifically a C minor 9. But then there's no third with the E flat missing. So let's just call this a G minor triad with a C in the bass. Alright, so that's the first chord. So now this next chord is pretty interesting. Now this pretty much sounds like C minor, C, E flat, G, B flat, C minor 7. But the bass note, as we already know, is an A flat, which is a bit odd, having that A flat there. But another way of looking at this chord is A flat, C, E flat, G natural. So that becomes an A flat major 7th, but we also have the B flat, so you can think of it as a 9. So very interesting that they're using these extended chords in this track. And then here we have a simple G minor 7. And the bass note is a G. And then it goes to this E flat major triad. I don't hear the D. Could be in there, but I'm not sure if the piano is playing that. Alright, so that's the harmony, and in terms of the sound, I'm just using a standard electric piano preset from Ableton Live. I did change up some of the settings to kind of make it sound really mellow. I added this frequency shifter to emulate that slight warble that you would hear if this was running on an old tape machine. Let me exaggerate it. So that's what the frequency shifter is doing. And then there's also this autopan. So without the autopan, it's pretty much mono. And you can hear more of the frequency shifter now. But the autopan makes it more interesting. And also the frequency shifter is acting in stereo because the phase is set to 180. And then lastly, there's a reverb to kind of wash out the entire sound. Alright, then there's this filler stuff that happens in the background. Very high frequency stuff. So it's essentially a wavetable sawtooth with a high-pass filter as well as a low-pass filter, so kind of like a custom bandpass filter. Added some chorusing. It also has this unison feature with 5 voices to really thicken it up, but just focus in on the high frequencies thanks to this filtering. Some delay and reverb. Now what I did notice is that we don't hear the initial attack of the sound. So to emulate that, what I did was I automated the reverb to start at 100% and gradually come back down to something more manageable like 37%. Because if you didn't do that, you hear the attack of the chord and we don't hear that in the original. So I'm not sure if they actually did this, but I felt like this kind of worked for me. Same thing over here on that initial note. Now this note has this really weird wobble, just like on the electric piano. So what I did was, on the chorus ensemble, I switched to vibrato just for that note. So you'll see here, it's in the classic mode. So it just gives us chorusing. But when you reach this note, it switches to vibrato, and then switches back to classic. And that's pretty much that wavetable part. Lastly, there's this riser. Now, kind of an odd place to have a riser, but in the track, this is exactly where it ends. Let's hear it all in context. Not the exact same riser from the track, but something similar. Alright, so that's my quick analysis of You Right by Doja Cat featuring The Weeknd. I hope you found that helpful, and please stay tuned for more.